10 minutes to 7, and this is the Rural Report.
And if there's a job that's perfect for working outside in winter, blacksmithing would have to be up there.
Oh, look, a fire.
You are working
Fabulous.
over a forge that can heat up to 1,200 degrees to shape metal.
Now, I wouldn't have thought there is a great deal of call out for a blacksmith these days.
Well, that's what Alex Norton thought, but he's just moved to Hagley and he's been flat out turning recycled farm materials into beautiful objects.
The process of forging is a slow, methodical one, and you start with a basic rough forge shape, sort of brute force the steel into the shape that you want it to be, and then from there you refine it more and more and more, a little bit like a clay sculpture. You get the basic shape of a person and then slowly start pulling out more and more detail over time. But each time that you want to do any work on the steel, you've got to get it over about 800-900 degrees. And to do that using just a hand crank blower, it takes a little bit of time.
And you've just added some more coal to bump up that heat?
That's right. The forge actually works a little bit like a Venturi system in an old carburetor. You feed in air and it pulls the heat pulls it upwards through the coals and drops ash down as the charcoal turns into ash. And on the bottom I've got a little ash dump that dumps it out, nice and squeaky, and allows me to put in fresh fuel usually takes every 15 minutes or so. I'll put another handful in, and in that way a 20 kilo bag will probably last me for a couple of days work.
What are you turning in your right hand?
In my right hand I actually have an old reconditioned forge blower. This was from 1926. I found it was all seized up and I pulled it apart and soaked it in vinegar and steel brushed it all down, and it works just as well now as it did when it was made. But it feeds air in at a huge rate. Think of it like a hand crank hairdryer, and it pumps air into the side of the forge and through the hot coals, and it turns it into a forge that's hot enough to actually melt steel into a liquid if I let it go too far.
I'm not seeing too many cords or electrical gear here. A lot of hand tools. Is this your preference?
That's right. You bringing in microphones is the first time electrical things have been put into this forge. To be honest, there's an art to it, a poetry to it, and blacksmithing is become a bit of a lost art. Whereas the world that we know today was built because of blacksmithing, now it's relegated to just an art form. And if you're going to do it as an art form, I say why not keep it artistic? And there's a poetry to something that's been beaten out of something by nothing but muscle power. And so I use no power tools when I work.
What are you creating?
Well, currently I've got an order for a fireplace rake, but rather than just having a flat bar at the end of it, they wanted something that looked like a gum leaf. So I'm forging a square profile bar of steel into the shape of a gum leaf, and at the other end I'm doing a nice curled hook that they can hang it up when it's not being used. There was a blacksmith in this town. It's the town's so old that there was a town blacksmith, and his son, who's now 83, still lives across the road from where the original forge was. So I'm the first blacksmith that's been back since he was actually running the shop there, and a lot of the older people still remember that there was a blacksmith here that fixed wagon wheels and leaf springs on the old carts when they came through, and it was quite a momentous response that I got. Usually I get a lot of turned heads when I say I'm a blacksmith. People either think that I shoe horses or that I've had some people ask me what a blacksmith is, which is a bit of a sign of the times. But here in Hagley, where everybody knows what a blacksmith is, I've been getting inundated with orders. Some of the hunters locally want knives made, or even people who do meat work for a living. The fireplace pokers are a big one because everybody's got a fire, and if you've got to use a tool every day, why not have a beautiful version of it? And it's kind of been the philosophy that I've been doing all of my blacksmithing on. I like to make beautiful versions of very practical things, and sometimes that's just jewelry, but my wife likes hair accessories, so some of the first things I made were forged hairpins that look like something out of the Viking Age, and were actually inspired by the Viking Age because my family on both sides are actually old Viking stock. So it's been a huge inspiration for me, and it's been a real surprise and a real joy to be able to do what I love for a living.
Blacksmith Alex Norton, based in Hagley, and he's only been in the area 7 weeks, and he's got orders coming out of his ears. He's originally from Tassie, moved to Queensland when he was a kid, and returned home, and And really, really enjoying blacksmithing in
Fabulous.
northern Tasmania.
I'm loving the old Viking stock reference.
Yes.
As long as he doesn't hop into some of the other Viking traditions.
Well, yes.
Indeed. All right, so that's rural this morning for us. Thank you very much, Larissa Smith, with us on ABC Northern Tasmania.